Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I'm still a medical doctor simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is Chloe Van Landschoot. Chloe is an emerge nurse and actor, and she has an incredible story to tell. I know I say that about all of my guests, and it's true. But Chloe and I are, again, we're both healthcare workers. We both burnt out like crazy. We both found creativity, in her case, found it again, and it completely changed how we view our healthcare careers, which we still do. She also founded an incredible organization called Collective Hearts that I am very honored to have a little teeny part of. It is a group of healthcare workers who are also artists of some kind. Visual artists, singers, musicians, actors, comedians, authors, however way we make art. Because as we know, healthcare workers are in a crisis right now. And the greatest thing both Chloe and myself have found to help with that inevitable burnout that comes with being caregivers to our society is trying to get back into that creative, childlike selves. It's absolutely incredible when we find that. And Chloe, like I said, has an amazing story to tell. We dive deep into this. Please enjoy Chloe Van Landschoot. Tell me your story. How did you get into this crazy business?
Which one? Healthcare or the acting? They're both crazy.
Both. Both.
Yeah. Oh, where do we go? Where do we go from here? I've always been some sort of performer. I was a dancer my whole life, and I loved performing. I loved having an audience. But yeah, I never was feeling like I wanted to make a career out of it. I grew up in a small town. It wasn't really super arts-centric, so that wasn't really getting pushed in my direction too much. I was also a super nerdy science kid, so there was more of a pathway for that was easily accessible based on where I grew up and whatnot. So I went to Queen's, wanting to originally go into medicine, like every other science kid, and then got to Queen's, had my first year of university, was failing first year physics, and was just like, I don't want to be in school forever. So I transferred out of the life science program and into nursing. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because I just wanted to be hands-on right away. I didn't want to be sitting in lecture halls. It's just not how I'm built either. So nursing was this kind of beautiful amalgamation of clinical experience with science, and I really enjoyed it. I was also doing student short films here and there. I was keeping up with the performance side of who I was, but again, it was never a career trajectory for me. It very much came knocking on my door, though, when I got my first professional nursing job. I got hired in the float pool at UHN in the emergency department. And it was right around then where I started taking acting class professionally. And it's so crazy how, I don't know, your brain and your body just do all this unconscious work for you. Again, I was feeling pulled to class, but I don't know why. And it became this amazing place for me because, I'm sure you've worked at Emerge. It's quite something. And that's the addictive part of it, is the adrenaline, the gallows humor that you have with your colleagues. You feel like you're in the pits of something that only people who work in healthcare are privy to. And yeah, it's unworldly at times. But I'm also, I was a super sensitive, porous person who was so overstimulated and overwhelmed all the time. And I just thought that was a part of nursing, which it is, but my body needed a place to put all of that, and acting class became this place where it was welcomed to get in touch with your rage, your insecurity, your instability, all of that. It was encouraged. And I think when you work in healthcare, you're so trained to put all of that away, to suppress that. Those are not welcomed things, because you have to be present and direct and focused on your patient. You can't let your feelings get in the way. The amount of times I've heard that as a healthcare worker, don't let your feelings override. But you take in so much energy, especially in healthcare. Like, it's something else, but it's like, where does that go? And for me, it was all up in my body. And yeah, acting became this place to kind of, as an exorcism for it, in a way. And again, I was still so unsure of if acting was a thing that I wanted to do. It was also nebulous, but a teacher of mine, my first acting teacher, Louis Bowmander, God bless, said to me, he's like, "You're a mess. Like, you are a mess." And I was like, limbs, tears, all of it. There was no craft to me at all. But he told me, he's like, "Just keep working." He's like, "You have something here. You have access to something." He's like, "I don't know what it is, but it's pretty cool. And just keep doing it." And I kept training, kept failing, kept flailing. And he also said, he's like, "Nursing isn't separate from you. It's a big part of you, and it could be a big part of your artistry too. It's like, these things don't have to be separate. They're an access point for you to create, for you to explore." And that kind of blew my mind and completely changed how I started to view my world as a nurse and as an artist. And that's when things started to get more interesting for me in terms of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to move through the world and whatnot. And yeah, there was something very validating and freeing that I could be seen in this way, where these things didn't have to be two separate things, that they could start to feed each other. And that's where all the special sauce will start to exist. Yeah.
I love, there again, so many things that were just like hitting me like, ugh, like right in my heart and my soul, because I think such a thing that has resonated through, and I'm sure it's true of a lot of careers that require like public facing, but I don't think there's any career out there that's more public facing than working in the emergency department. Because you're not just seeing someone as like customer service or like at a restaurant or whatever. You're seeing people at like their highest highs, like literally, or like lowest lows. And then having to be, the word I'd learned from an emerge doc who's now an actor was emotional restraint. Having to be so restrained because that is protective to your longevity in this career.
Yeah.
You'll burn out really fast if your natural human emotions come into play, so you have to hibernate them to, I think, like, obviously the detriment of our mental health, but also the necessary for our mental health. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the restraint is so true. But again, I think like the laws of thermodynamics, like energy cannot be created or destroyed. You are still taking all of that in, and it is effort to restrain. And yes, in the short term, it's not damaging, but that lives in your body. And I think it's so important to find ways to let that move through you. And I think that's where art is critical in this industry of healthcare, as a way to understand and explore that. Because I think when you are that restrained for a 25-year career, that's painful. Like, that is painful to you. There's so much of life that you aren't able to express or enjoy because you're so tight all the time. And I totally understand it's a requirement for the job, but I think we're at a time right now in healthcare where it's so fractured and our care workers are so burnt that we need an alternative solution to have longevity in this career, where people don't quit, where people don't burn out, because people are burning out quicker now more than ever. And a lot of it is because of that restraint that is necessary for the job. It's so complex and nuanced in terms of how to navigate that. You also just can't tell a bunch of healthcare workers to go find your inner artistry and abandon ship. Like that's not good. Don't be like me. No. Be a little
Well,
bit.
I think
I don't know, but you know what
I
I mean.
wonder. Yeah, and I wonder if two things come to my brain, right? You talk a lot about, things being within your body and absorbing it in your body. Does that insight, did that come from your dance background?
Definitely, I think having a body awareness definitely contributed to knowing where those things live, which is very helpful. And yeah, I've colleagues who work in a merch, and yeah, you can just see them. They're just so held and tight, and I'm like, baby girl, like, come to a dance class with me. But also, yeah, I think it's also a privilege to be trained in body awareness as well, so that you can get these things out. But even then, like during COVID, when I got I hadn't worked in a merch in years. I work in day surgery now, but I got redeployed during the pandemic. Yeah. You say yes.
Oh, fun.
And yeah, it was so taxing on the body, because not only hadn't worked in a merge in a long time. It's also a global pandemic. Everyone's stressed. It's like the last thing the people downstairs in the merge want to do is train this redeployed nurse. So it's just chaotic. And also because classes had shut down, film and TV had shut down. My places where I would normally make sense of things and a space to move, like you weren't allowed to leave. So then I started to I was tight. I was shut off. My partner at the time was like, you are a robot. And I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry, but this is what I have to be in order to do this job. And it was during that time where I was reminded of what it was like to feel that again. And I was like, ooh, this is hard.
Yeah. What called you to acting? I know you kind of mentioned like there was like this acting class, Louis Baumeister. Like, what was that? Where did that come from?
I don't know. It's such a good question. I think, I don't know. Sometimes I was like, there was something bigger at play in a way driving me, because I was never chasing it. It found me in this cool way. And now I don't know what to do without it. Yeah, I think, there's, of course, like I said, there's elements of me being a performer and all of that found its way. But I think, again, once I started to see these worlds as one, working in healthcare became this very fascinating place of story, of vulnerability, of contradiction. It was the most human place you could be. Like you said, Janet, like people are at like their highest of highs and their lowest of lows, and you'll see a spectrum of that in a 12-hour shift. And it's fascinating. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. It's devastating. It's everything. So as storytellers, it's an incredible place to witness.
Yeah. And it's funny, like you mentioned Louis Baumeister. I think that's where you and I met like a long time ago in like a virtual class, like maybe way back. I just remember like clocking you being like, nurse actor, ding dong. But I remember Louis saying something very similar to me, saying twofold, like your medical career just doesn't go up into a puff of smoke when you decide you want to do some acting, right? It doesn't just disappear. Obviously, it's like ingrained in you and you've experienced this. And also he's like, you're so lucky you get to work in healthcare because you're basically, I think he actually used the word like in a zoo watching or like in an aquarium. Like you are in a laboratory witnessing humans that you can just play later.
Yeah. It makes it bearable, because then you're like, oh, all of this is coming at me and I know what to do with that later. You know, it's like fodder. And it's like fodder for the art. And that became a coping mechanism for me too. I started just I remember being a part of my first code in a very long time when I was back in Emerge during COVID. And I looked around and everyone's in their place. Everyone knows their role. there's a rhythm, there's choreography. And I was like, this is a dance. This is a dance. This is a beautiful dance that I'm watching right now. And again, I think it's partially my body having an interesting trauma response, but I was still able to do the job. But it made it didn't take away from the weight of what it was that we were doing. It just offered a glimpse into, what it means to be a human.
Yeah. Do you find that there's anything you've brought... Oh, there we go. Do you find there's anything you've brought in from your nursing career into your acting career?
Oh, tons. I mean, I think nursing school is the best acting school ever. Like, to what we were talking about before, healthcare is a zoo full of fascinating characters. And if you start to view, as an actor, if you start to view that as an opportunity to learn and to absorb, it can do wonders for your acting. I mean, and on the flip side of that too, working in healthcare, working in teams, being under stress, being under duress, having to maintain a level of calm and restraint is also important, because you have to be able to play those characters too. I mean, I got cast as a doctor on a television show, and they had no idea that I worked in healthcare. But because I had all that nuance, that calmness, that restraint, but presence lived because I did the real thing. I didn't have to play an idea of what a doctor was. I knew what it was. I've lived it in a way. And it's the same playing certain patients that you've dealt with, certain family dynamics that you've had to navigate. Like, that all enters you if you allow it to as an actor, and your body knows how to play that because you've seen it. You've been exposed to it. So that's why I think nursing school, working in healthcare, has been the best lesson in acting and what it means to be human.
Yeah. Now, without having gone to a traditional theater or a film school, how did you learn about the business side of acting?
I'm still learning, Janet. I still don't know. No. I mean, class is helpful to meet other folks who have been doing this longer than you. I think just a lot of trial and error. Once you start booking things, you start to understand things as well. Having a great agent along for the ride is very crucial in helping you with the business. But I think that type of learning never really stops. And I did a bit of performing commercials and stuff like that when I was a kid, so I had some basic understanding of how things go. But class is a good place to prep you in terms of how the self-tape train works. I mean, I started acting back when you would still go in the room, so I kind of was learning with everybody else once the self-tape train started coming in. But it doesn't stop.
Yeah. Has there been anything that's been surprising to you since starting an acting career?
Yes and no. I think again, like, the learning never stops. Never. Once I mean, I've been so lucky. I've booked the show. I've been on it for 4 years, and you do think it's going to change everything for you, and it does, but it also doesn't. I think actors have it in their head that once they get the thing, they'll feel complete, they'll feel full, they feel like they've done it, but there's nothing to do, and there's nothing that's ever finished. It's just going to lead you to the next piece of work that you need to reveal in yourself in order to carry on with this career. I think that was the biggest thing for me was, it's never really over, and you never really get to the thing you think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. Because I think it's interesting with most traditional career paths, like, you technically get the thing, And I mean, I think we as humans are always like, oh, I need to get the next thing.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the next thing, it's not quite good enough. So you want to get the thing above that. But I think like in our careers as like nurse and as doctor, it's like, yeah, here's the certificate that says you may now do this job.
Yeah.
The end, and so now you are a nurse till forever. I'm a doctor till forever.
Yeah.
But acting, it just does, like, you're constantly striving to still be called an actor forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, like, like, deep, fragile, leaf-like insecurity never goes away. Like, it doesn't. It's your gift, though, as an actor, to be that type of vulnerable, but we spend, especially working in healthcare, there's so much armor, so much layering, like, the amount of unraveling I had to do in order to access that type of fragility was a lot of work in class, but it's also so insightful to, yeah, and I've learned to deeply, let me rephrase that. I feel like I deepened my relationship to who I was as a nurse through my journey as an actor. And that was by understanding how many layers that we put on as healthcare workers in order to be present to that job, in order to restrain, in order to hide that super deep vulnerability that we all have as people. And through class and through training, taking all of that off, you're just like, whoa. You have so much more empathy for your colleagues and for those around you, because we're all just a bunch of like fragile babies in human suits just trying to like layer up to protect ourselves.
Yeah. It's funny because like as you're saying this in my mind, I'm like, we're taught the restraint, right? We're taught this is what you need to do because you can't take on, the pains of the world. But then I see, and I know you're seeing it too, it's not working because like, is it inevitable that every single healthcare worker is going to just implode because we are so restrained? Like, is the burnout inevitable around the 7-year mark classic that all of us are like,
yeah,
all right, here we are. I'm seeing it amongst my colleagues. Is it just inevitable? And is this completely wrong in our education?
Totally. I mean, yeah, I spoke to that earlier, that we're in a really critical period of post-COVID recovery. And we aren't taking care of our healthcare workers in a way that is necessary for what's going on right now. And yeah, I'm definitely worried for our kind and the future of them and their inner world. I think we're in such a beautiful position to be an artist and also a healthcare worker because you can reflect on all these things. But I definitely have colleagues that they have never even considered this. Like, this doesn't enter their mind because they're not in class or training reflecting on what it means to like feel things, and there's a part of me that worries that if healthcare workers start really getting in touch with their humanity, that we will all implode. But yeah, it's like, what do we do to prevent it from getting to that point? It's the patients are getting sicker, they're not going anywhere, the healthcare workers are dropping like flies. Like, it's a critical point in healthcare right now. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah. My next question was going to be, well, do you have any advice then I'll go really specific. I'll go for healthcare workers first who are coming to you. I know they come to me saying, I want to do something more creative like you are. What advice do you give them?
Yeah, I think I would tell them to really reflect on what it is that brings them joy. Like, do they remember, like, what did they do as kids? Like, were they drawers? Were they painters? Did they dance? Like, just, there's so much that we did as kids that we forget about because we become adults and jaded. But when you're a kid, that's where so much of your joy lived. And I think I would encourage folks to just reflect on that and try that thing out again. You know, take the tote under your couch full of old art supplies out, dust it off, and just start painting, drawing, whatever. Put a song on and move through the room, you know? Like, don't be precious about it. But it's so hard. Healthcare workers, we're also type A too, and processed, and we have to follow the rules. And I think part of getting in touch with your inner creative is like taking a match to that and just letting things be messy.
Would your advice change if somebody had a different career path and is wanting to switch to acting, like outside of the healthcare space?
I don't think so. It's a good question. I think that can apply to anyone in a person-facing job, you know, that is taking on energy and has nowhere to put it. Yeah. I know for me, if I didn't have dance and acting and other parts of my artistry, I would implode. For sure. It prevents me from imploding my art.
And 100%, right? And I think, and when I look back at, you know, my own personal career, and, you know, everyone, I know I'm a better doctor because of the creative work that I've done. I know I am. Because, like, you could have put a video camera and watched me with my patients before I started improv and after, and been like, that's the doctor that should pass medical school, the after one, not the first one. But the first one was fresh out of training and knew everything. Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like, I'm going to say this just because I know I'm working on a project with U of T, but I don't think we're educating healthcare professionals properly right now. Clearly not. It's not working.
Like, I think I think there's an archaic tone to the education system for healthcare workers, for sure. I think it lacks humanities. It lacks creativity, you know, and so much of this work is person-facing, patient-facing. Like, you're dealing with somebody in front of you. That's improv at its core. And it's acting at its core. Like, you have an objective with that person. You need to get them to do something. They need something from you. Like, it's the basics of acting, you know? But being in touch with that part of you allows you to connect with them as a person and not as an algorithm or a process or a diagnosis, you know? And how you get people to do things is you have to move them. You have to make them feel something, you know? And if you're just listing off a bunch of data with, like, dead eyes, they're not going to listen. You're not going to be able to get what you need. They're not going to be able to get what they need from you, and just falls flat. It's like an improv scene. If no one's listening, the scene just falls apart. So, yeah.
I remember I heard this great analogy once, again, another doctor turned actor, that, you know, healthcare professionals tend to be these one-way valves of information where we just are like spewing the information on someone and we're not taking anything back because we're just like, I have this objective and it's to give you all of my medical knowledge for your, like, knee arthritis, and I'm not going to hear anything in return because I have to give this to you because I am the authority on it and I want to give you all of this with good intentions, for sure. But, like, literally nothing is coming back at us because we're this one-way valve, and we just get, like, calcified over time and being like, how boring is this? Like you were saying, the scene is so boring. Nothing's happening.
Yeah. Totally. And I think, again, if you're practicing connection and creativity, it makes your job more interesting too. You know? Like, you're less likely to burn out because you're kind of fascinated by everything in this way. Yeah. You kind of become, for me at least, and part of my big coping mechanism when I was in a place of burnout was I just became a voyeur. You know, like a voyeur of it all, like watching. And I was just, like, weirdly delighted in it. And I would write about it. And then I feel like I was washing something off, you know what I mean? And it wasn't making me cramp up so much.
That's really cool. I think, because when I think about what science is, scientists need to be curious all the time. That's what science is. Like, science can't, if you aren't curious, it's going to stagnate and it's no longer science, right? But I think when we're in a job that requires so much of us that's not the curiosity, that's very kind of the system, chart, we forget about that curiosity and that fascination with other humans that honestly, for most of us, brought us here in the first place. If I wasn't curious about humans, I'd go be, I don't know, a data entry person, right? Like, but I think what's tough so much, and we know this as healthcare professionals, is the actual work that we do is not what's burning us out. It's like the system putting admin tasks and random stuff on us that are shutting down all of our curiosity and fascination because there's just no time.
Yeah, because you're just trying to keep your head above water. Completely. Like the first thing to go when there's a gridlock or understaffing is your vibes with the patient, because vibes mean not hanging out, but like building a rapport. You know what I mean? Like, having that extra time to just really connect and understand where they're coming from. And when you have a list of tasks, blood work to be done, tests, just like thing after thing after thing that you have to get done as a nurse, that the other part goes by the wayside because you have too much to do, and this for whatever reason is the priority. But we don't make empathy a priority in healthcare. I think that's the main issue right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A couple of bit more, not easier, casual questions. I don't know. Do you have any favorite moments from times on set? Any funny stories?
Ooh, let me see. I mean, it's been really cool to play a healthcare worker on TV. So to bring in all of that knowledge and skill and be able to apply it to a role has been very gratifying. And that being the first time that has happened, I don't think anything will ever top that, to be able to have autonomy over when medical scenes are getting written and to be able to have a say, for them to trust me to change things when things aren't quite right is really cool. Because I'm sure you've seen stuff, Janet, on TV where you're just like, that is not how that's done. They have like the endotracheal tube like just taped, and I'm like, that's not it.
Yeah,
like an IV just like taped to like the back of their arm, and you're like, oh my god, like. Oh.
Just random tubes. Yeah,
I'm like, guys, it just takes one quick Google search to just know that's not it. But so yeah, I was pretty rigorous in terms of being as accurate as possible. But I also work on a sci-fi horror show, so some things they're just like, Chloe, this is television. We live in a world where there's monsters that come out at night, so some things aren't going to be totally accurate at night. But yeah, there was one scene, I don't know if you've seen the show or not, but in the second season, one of the characters gets stabbed and he gets rushed to the clinic in the show, and he gets assessed by me. He ends up having a hemipneumothorax. So we had to do that scene all in one take. And my character has to give him like a finger thoracostomy, and it felt like the real thing in this way because we only had like one take. We were running out of time. Everyone had their place. Everybody knew their role. Everybody had their lines, and everybody had to hit the camera marks correctly so that we get all 7 actors in this scene. And there was blood gags. There was like a scalpel that I had to cut open with one of the characters to get my finger in, but it all had to be done kind of in one take. So it felt
oh my god,
like that type of, it felt like a code. It was like, it felt like a code with no stakes, but the stakes were also very high. So that was interesting. Like the feeling reminded me of being in those acute care situations. So
That's super cool.
Mhm.
Do you have anything you are looking forward to coming up?
yeah, a bunch of stuff. I host an event called Collective Hearts that you'll be at
Yeah!
for
I'm so
healthcare
excited.
workers in the arts. So I'm really excited for it's this Thursday, May 22nd. I'm excited to be able to showcase and hold space for all these wonderful, talented healthcare workers who are also artists. There's lots of us, it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
We're not that unique, which I love. And yeah, I'm just gearing up to go back to Halifax to start shooting season 4. So yeah, I go back in June. So yeah, just a little adjustment.
It's awesome. That's so exciting. It's so interesting about, like, I'm just so excited to meet everyone
Yeah.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so cool. Just, you're doing this incredible social media, and I'm going to put the links to everything in the show
great.
notes. But it's just been so neat to see and just been like, follow these incredible artists.
Yeah.
And not just, obviously, not just these visual artists and musicians and spoken word. I was like, oh my God, there's so many of us.
I know. An author like who wrote a full-on book, Amy, and like musical comedy, and I think it'll also just I'm excited to see everybody too and hear their stories as well of how they came to their creative being. And a lot of folks, when you do ask them, they're like, it's my healing space, it's my therapy, it's my flow state, it's how I cope. Like it's so obvious that art and creativity are such an integral part of being a healthcare worker, I think, in order to process. Yet we're not teaching that in school. Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. But what would happen if we did? What would happen if we started integrating an acting class, a Meisner class in med school?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Do you have any final words of wisdom or advice?
Oh man, I'm not that wise. But
bullshit.
Not. I think I think I just really encourage people to get in touch with their creative and not hold themselves back from trying to do it right. Like Louis Bowmanor also said to me, he's like, wrong and strong. Be wrong and strong. And that's great advice, especially when you're just starting to get to know your inner creative, I think. Don't try to do it well, right, be good. That's not helpful. And I think it's important to let yourself, run with it. Be free. Be messy. Because, especially working in healthcare, the stakes are so high if you're really messy, you know? You can't, if you're jamming or being super nonlinear, the stakes are a lot higher if you're applying that in healthcare. But your creative space, your artistry, is where you can let all of that freak flag fly. And I bet you will learn something about yourself that you will apply to your healthcare work through that process. Through being a mess and having a bunch of non-linearity and creativity, you will bring that back. And you will be a better healthcare worker, forward-facing person than you were beforehand.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Chloe, for being my guest this week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me and with my guests. I so appreciate it. I think there's just so many things that I know we have in common for sure, but there's so many things that, she said that y'all just listened to that were just so inspiring to me personally as a healthcare worker, but hopefully to all of you as well, and trying to find that creative force that is inside of all of us, that we just for some dang reason, society being garbage, we keep in hibernation. So hopefully this conversation was inspiring, and I hope you all will tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye!